Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day. We are heading back into r/AmITheDevil, and if you guys would like to be absolutely amazing, show your support and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up the wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Also, if you guys would like to save 10% on your next order of gamer subs, use code Tommy at checkout, or click the link down below. It helps support the channel, and it applies it automatically to the transaction, and I'm totally not going to use it to buy Transformers figures. Am I the a-hole for demanding that our stay for Christmas at my passive-aggressive mother-in-law's house is shortened? Christmas is supposed to be about joy and family bonding, right? But for me, it's shaping up to be 4 long nights at my mother-in-law's house where I already know that I'm going to feel like I can't win, no matter what I do. Here's the situation. My wife and I are spending Christmas with her mom, along with our kids. My mother-in-law is great at making dinner, and she's always around for the fun stuff, like playing games or hanging out, when it's all smiles. But when it comes to the less glamorous parts of the parenting, like getting the kids ready for bed or dealing with early mornings, she's nowhere to be found. Edit. I want to clarify after reading a lot of the comments saying that I should not expect her to do this stuff regularly or even at all. This is not what I mean. What I'm trying to say is that I expect her to want to help out, just maybe once in a while to give us a little pause. We are the parents, and of course we should do the parenting, and we are both doing it. For the most part, I am the one putting them to bed while on vacation, actually. Instead, she seems more interested in playing director. For example, if the kids ask my wife for something, like who's taking the dog out, my mother-in-law will jump in with, "Oh, why don't you ask your dad? It's just not her job." And she makes sure that I hear it. She doesn't know or care how my wife and I divide responsibilities. It is just assumed that I'm slacking if I step away for a moment, even just to breathe, and something goes wrong. Like the kids start fighting. Then later it's, "The dad wasn't here," loud enough for me to hear or casually while she is doing something else. I have an extremely demanding job, and I run my own business, which means almost zero free time and constant stress. Lately, I've been struggling a lot with work, and to be honest, I'm not feeling very happy deep down. I really need this Christmas to feel like a break, a chance to have some quality time with my family and just relax for once without feeling guilty. But at my mother-in-law's, I know that that's not going to happen. She never offers to help us out with the tougher stuff, like getting up early with the kids, or handling out the nightly chaos. But she has no problem making me feel like I'm not doing enough. I don't know if it is intentionally, but it is getting on my nerves. And the thing is, I do pull my weight, I think, but I still feel guilty if I sit down for a few minutes to relax. I have this constant feeling of doing something wrong if I relax. I get that Christmas is about family bonding, but it doesn't feel like bonding when all I can think about is how much more I have to do, or how much judgment I'm getting for not doing enough. It's exhausting, and I don't even want to go this year, but we are staying for 4 nights, and honestly, I feel like I'm just showing up because it's my duty as a husband and a dad. I feel like I could explode every time she is being passive-aggressive, but I keep my happy face on, for now. Maybe I should just be grateful and suck it up and deal with it for the sake of family bonding. I love my wife and I want her to be happy. Am I the a-hole for insisting to my wife that we cut down on the amount of days that we stay there during Christmas holiday, even if she really wanted to stay there longer? Edit 2. I am starting to believe that I am the a-hole. But before making the conclusion, I need to say that my wife and I agree that we are both contributing equally to our household and our kids. We have to because of our work situation. And I am not expecting the mother-in-law to do our parenting, just to be friendly, not making rude comments, and sometimes help a bit extra when we need it. But based on comments, I see that I might have underestimated her efforts in making dinner every day when we visit, and joining our card games, etc. She is retiring in a couple of years. I have to add that we are at mother-in-law's. Anyways, I always, no exceptions, help with dinner. I mean, I always clean the kitchen and clear the table, so nobody else has to. No biggie, but I obviously feel like helping out because she made dinner. And I help her with stuff like carrying furniture, picking up her son from the bus station. I help her with computer stuff, etc. And of course, I do the same work for the kids as my wife when we are on vacation. On top of that, I pay for about 75% of all expenses, and work more than 100%. Okay, that sounds like an exaggeration. I do it for my family, and we are both comfortable with this. We have discussed it together. Edit 3. I accept that I am the a-hole based on the volume of comments here, especially when it comes to my expectations about my mother-in-law helping a bit sometimes. It is clear to me that mother-in-law should never feel like she should help me with my wife and kids, no matter what, as long as we are healthy. I need some time to get used to this and change my attitude. Look, it doesn't happen a lot when somebody admits that they are the a-hole in a lot of situations. Usually it comes down to comments telling them, but being able to admit that, yeah, you were in the wrong is the first step in getting better at things. Hopefully things get better for you and you're able to help improve the relationship between you and your mother-in-law. Taking in an orphan kid broke my marriage and alienated my husband. I'm sorry this is long. It's the most painful, confusing issue in my life right now. I need advice from a third party. I'm considering ending a marriage, and we do have a baby daughter now as well. I'm really unhappy and don't know how to get past this. My husband, 42M, and I, 38F, have been married for a few years. I thought this was the love of my life that I was always waiting for. Going back, when we were married less than a year, one of my best friends passed away suddenly, leaving a son and daughter behind. The son, Jude, age 16, is the one who found her. That broke my heart. No kid should go through that. Myself and husband rushed over, putting on a strong face. I watched as they put my friend in a black body bag. Her young daughter has a different dad and was at his house that weekend. He since has full custody of her, but Jude has no dad. It was just him and his mom always, so he was alone in that house. So we took him back to our house that day with open arms. Family still had to be notified. A couple of her relatives would fly in to sort things out, as she didn't have much family. My husband seemed fine and supportive to Jude, and he resumed at school and was doing well, considering. But within the first week or two, husband started asking me privately, what's the plan? Which I was still reeling, but he was pressed. Initially, I thought it possible a relative may be taking Jude in, but the only maybe plan they had was an older aunt who lived near Arizona, several states away, a place that he's never been. I could not see for him, after a major trauma, being shipped off to live with someone he's not comfortable with. I knew in my heart that he should stay with us. I felt this is what my friend would have wanted. A family friend asked Jude a month into staying with us if he would move to the aunt's house, and he said, I like it here. I want to stay with them, us. People said he's a minor, so it's not up to him. I felt at 16 years old, he should have a say in his own life. At the time it happened, we lived in a smaller, cozy home. Second bedroom on the opposite side of the house had its own full bathroom next to it. Very doable. I owned this home from a prior to marriage. We were already looking for a bigger home that I would be paying for. We had been trying to conceive for a year, wanting a family. However, this spare room was my husband's and his home office. He was a work from home 3 days of the week. I approached my husband with the idea of Jude staying, saying that I feel 100% in my heart that this is what we need to do. Take Jude in for the next 2 years or so. My husband said no, immediately objecting, saying I don't want someone in our home. He claimed he didn't know Jude well. He cited loss of privacy in my home. Despite that teens are out of the house a lot, school, and then practice, I wasn't expecting such an immediate negative reaction. I was very, very dismayed, confused. I thought my husband had loved kids and had such a big, kind heart. Plus, we were not like 25-year-old newlyweds. We were both adults, 35 plus. And I have a flexible work hours. Plus, Jude already likes him and knows me. I replied, explaining that I feel super strongly about this being the right thing. It means a lot to me. Please? Let's step up. Still, he said I wasn't giving him a voice. I did speak with a counselor who said doing this will strengthen our new marriage, saying that we can do this. I loved how she was so positive. I long for that positivity. I so want that strong man attitude, a we got this babe mentality, open arms, loving heart, less fear, a house of love. I'm still longing for that, but he was always so worried, scared, fearful of the burden. Guess it ruined his plans somehow, fearing that it will up our financial pressure. I said to my unhappy husband, let's talk about this. I want to address your objections. 1, I don't want the responsibility. He's 16. Isn't a child who needs constant care? Like, I could fully understand someone objecting a guardianship of a 7-year-old. That's a major life change for a couple, and I'd never expect that. We will have to parent a teen. But he's pretty independent. Husband's response? I still have to worry about him. It will be stress and more on my plate, worrying about his grades, school, curfew, etc. I'm not ready to be a parent. Well, you've always said you wanted kids, but he wants his own and isn't ready for this. Objection 2. We can't afford it. I said maybe tough, but his aunt and uncle have committed to sending dollars every month to help. My husband said that it's not enough, and I said I know, but it is enough to cover the extra food, gas, money, and clothes. Anything else I will pay out of my own money. I know we are married, so it's our money, but still, I'm trying. Husband said he's using electricity too, and I pay the utility bills. 3. Upset losing his home office. I lost my patience at this one. He grumbled about it so much, even saying, I guess I come last now. I said, a kid loses his mom and you're upset about losing your damn desk in a room? I offered to help set him up in the living room or kitchen because we were house shopping and moved a few months later. I bought a large 3-bed, 3-bath house and with a finished basement, trying to make my husband happy. So he got his home office in a room in the basement and told me nobody could go in there because it was his space and was all he had. But the resentment continued quietly. For 2 years, distance grew between us over this issue. Never had fights until this. Back at that time, he reached out to a rally in my mom's support on his side. I don't talk to her often. Saying that I wouldn't listen, so he wanted someone to talk to. She then put in her 2 cents and said to us, I'm being unfair to my husband's wishes. I'm trying to be a savior, and she coldly snapped, he's not your responsibility. Let his blood family have him. My husband felt validated and happy to hear this, and I felt very hurt. I had to explain myself again, saying that I'm not taking him from his family. There is nowhere else for him to go. But she took my husband's side, saying that he isn't our problem, and we can't afford it, and said to me, you're married. Don't you think that it should be the decision of your husband's too? How am I supposed to explain to anybody that I can't take Jude? Why? Because my husband says no? Ugh! Ultimately, a few months in, I told my husband, look, he has nowhere else to go, and this means so much to me that it's a deal breaker. So, you can either accept this, or I can't stay with you. So, he did go along, saying that he loves me, so he will have to accept it. I got a sole guardianship. My husband was actually very nice to him, helped him with many things, which made me so happy. Jude did well, and we were like a family. And we finally had our baby. I know it sounds woo-woo, but I felt my friend was pulling the strings from heaven. Like it was good karma. After so long of trying and losses, we had a healthy baby girl. My husband was nice to Jude, and it was quietly me who my husband held this against. Nothing was resolved. I found later by how he threw it in my face. Anytime we discussed Jude-related issues, we only did so while driving in the car. This was my rule, so that he'd never hear us discussing him. I'd just die if I knew that this poor kiddo ever heard my husband say how he was still so resentful over my overriding decision, how Jude was costing him money, how he felt forced, how he feels last is priority. Intimacy suffered, he withdrew. One day he said in an argument, "You chose that kid over me, your husband." I replied, "I didn't choose over you, but I had to follow my heart. I love you. I'm sorry. This will make us stronger, and it will all be okay." Still, he'd say again later, "You chose him over me. You said that you'd divorce me over him." I was crushed and continued to try to remedy my husband's objections, buying all of Jude's things on separate receipts, trying to keep that peace, failing I guess. A husband stepped up and drove him places, but a few months later he said he hated having to drive him to Saturday traffic to track practice, saying that it was taking up his valuable time after working long hours all week. So I took over. I drove him to practice every week and made sure that he was okay. My husband would help him with homework, watch comedy, teach him how to build stuff, talk to him about his life, so it was like a weird dichotomy. He'd resent him privately to me, yet he'd still step up in many ways, confusing to me. Fast forward to current. Jude goes to college and is moving in with his two roommates from high school. I could tell my husband was pleased with his decision to move out and feel more adult. I thought our marriage would be back to normal. He seemed super happy and more romantic. Until I told my husband, "Hey, I told Jude that he's always welcome back here, if he needs a place to stay," and my husband flipped out, saying, "What? Why would he come back here? He moved out." No. I was heartbroken all over again. He says that he cares deeply about Jude's well-being, but then he acts like he's not part of our family. When I said this, the husband said, "He doesn't even care about us. He was just using us for a place to live. He was always out with friends, blew off plans with us. He was lazy. He lied." True, kinda. Jude prioritized friends far above us, which stung, but it's also normal. He didn't find a job for a year and lied about when he applied. Yes, he was often lazy, but at least he's not getting into trouble. I said many times that it's normal for teenagers being like that. And my husband said that that's just an excuse. Not all teens blow off family activities, and insists he doesn't care about us. I now see my husband as a good father to our baby girl. Devoted, he prioritizes her, and my family says that he's great how he is with her. But I just cannot reckon with how awful he guilted and held deep anger against me for over 2 years over my bringing of Jude in. He also stepped out on our marriage and blamed this for it, saying that he became depressed when I went against his will, and so he wanted to explore other options by chatting with other women and telling them about what I did. His friends took his side, like I'm controlling and overriding him, And he said, me buying us a new house, he didn't contribute, doesn't mean anything when he's been so disconnected from me, due to my decision that it ruined how he saw his place in our new marriage. That he didn't matter. Was I wrong to disregard his wishes and pressure him under threat of divorce? No shit, yes! Was he wrong and a weak man? No, you were persistent and just not accepting no. Immature? That's just you. I feel awful, and he makes me feel like a terrible wife. His family says that I shouldn't have done this to him, and I took away his voice. How could I have said no just because of my husband, in my eyes, frivolous objections to what I knew was true and morally right in my heart? Because the way you have everything worded makes it seem like you cared more about that kid than your husband at all. Really? Like, he was supposed to be able to have a voice in these things, since you guys are married and supposed to be doing things together, but you see something bad happen, and yeah, no, I can understand somebody losing their parents and all and being stuck in this weird situation and everything, but that doesn't mean you ignore your husband's decisions entirely. And from what it seems like, the agreement that he seems like you kind of forced on him, it seems like you changed things when you said that, yeah, you're welcome to stay with us more anytime, even though it was really only supposed to be 2 years. Seems like you're changing things up as you go just because you have this gut feeling of righteousness. And, you know, it's totally not like the rest of the family saying that what you're doing is a bad thing is any kind of indicator of such. No, what you decide to do is the best decision possible. I turned 50 today and realized I'm a narcissistic, manipulative, bad man-child, and I'm gonna be this way for the rest of my years. I'm 50 today. I spent the day alone again and realized I never really realized my age. I act the same I did as when I was 20. I remember when I was 20 all the way back in 1994. I'd already been anything I am now. I broke up with a chick I was dating because she did the same thing that made me tear the hearts out of every other woman I dated. She brought up marriage and starting a family. So, I cut things off there. Pretty recently, like 6 months ago, broke up with my girlfriend as she brought up the same damn thing, marriage, and said that she wanted a kid for herself. I told her to screw right off. If I'm 49 and childless, do you think I want a family now? Do you think I ever do? Do I? I really don't know. I thought of a family, and marriage scares me. It's a choice you cannot go back on. I got some friends who tell me stuff like, I don't regret having my kids. I always tell them to shut up because I know they're BSing me. You don't regret a choice you can't take back? Cool, then good for you. Not for me. Or maybe it could be perhaps, I don't know. I will never know because I keep myself single and childless, never wanting the responsibility. Did I ever bring this up with any of my exes? A few of them. Others, I 100% led them on. I did the usual strategy of overwhelming them with praise and love to make them reliant on me in the beginning, getting them reliant on me for their emotional well-being, and then breaking their freaking hearts when they want to go deeper. I don't owe them anything now, do I? Who decides who is owed what? I got what I wanted out of them, and I'm entirely okay knowing that I shattered their self-worth with an immediate breakup. No time for them to think. What's there to think about? I decided it long ago. They don't give me what I want? Screw them. I don't owe any of those dozens of women anything. They all hate my guts. Good. I hate them all too. I wrung everything I wanted out of them, and am more than satisfied to leave them out to dry. I think at least that's my knee-jerk reaction to it. Do I think that? Why do I think that? Hearing my thoughts aloud makes me think that I'm such an a-hole. I'm 50 and still acting like a heartbreaking womanizer POS who uses women for this? Why am I like this? Why am I so freaking scared of marriage and starting a family? Well, if I think back to my time as a kid, I was a latchkey kid. I literally wore a necklace with a key on it to get home every day. I didn't have a bad childhood because my parents were never there. Most of my time was spent alone. Just alone. I had no siblings either. My time was spent outside wandering aimlessly and talking to strangers. If I was ever myself, I'd get called weird or stupid. If I acted in a different way, I could make people do what I want. I was also never a bright kid, barely passed high school, and kept getting called dumb by teachers or weird by other kids. The anger always hurt so gosh darn bad, and going home to nobody to talk to freaking hurt. To have a terrible day and just have to hold it all in, I soon began to people watch and learn about them, see patterns in folks and find out their tics and calls. Learning what you need to do to say to them to make them do whatever you want. This made me hate people even more. To know all you have to do is to bend them to your whim is act a certain kind of way. Women were the worst with this. I had a few call me out on my manipulative behaviors, but most didn't notice and bought my charade. I do this stupid stuff of propping myself up on a pedestal and yet at the same freaking time despising myself, calling myself out on everything I do and criticizing myself so dang harshly. I get pent up with so many feelings and then take this stuff out on others when they slight me in any kind of way. I regret every single action that I do and then feel bad about everything. Almost everything. I look back on my dozens of exes and feel nothing. I don't regret breaking any of their hearts. I want to say sorry to them, but it would be an empty apology because I feel no remorse for them. I feel bad about how I don't feel bad. Any apology I lobby to them would be to make myself feel less like Dookie, so it would be pointless. And I'm 50 today. I'm 50 and I act like this. I'm 50 and think this wall still acting like a reckless 20-year-old. I'm not gonna change. I've been on Reddit long enough to know how to use a throwaway like this, and know the usual response is gonna be, get therapy. Before you say that, not gonna happen. I'm not paying to talk to some loser who's got a useless degree to tell me I suck. I already know therapy is a scam anyways. I just want to complain to randos online. So yeah, I got 20, maybe 30 more years left of this, and it feels weird. You know, one thing to admit it, but another thing to just say that you have absolutely no problem with staying exactly how you are is not the mentality anybody should have. And God forbid people actually say that you should seek help in therapy. No, therapy is not a scam. I personally have my own therapist who I talk to on a monthly basis. And you know, one of the first things that she told me was that, yeah, some people don't even come to therapy until they're 50 or 60, so you did good. There's nothing wrong with acting like you're in your 20s, but that doesn't mean you act out the bad parts of those ages too. And it doesn't really seem like maturity is anywhere on your docket for any of this. You want to say that you're 50? Well, you're very much not acting like it. You're not even acting like you're 20. You're acting like you're 12. You're just some immature little shit who's gonna turn around and say, you need to respect your elders. I don't gotta respect you. You're very much not respecting anybody else. Like, really, what happened to treat people how you want to be treated? What happened to that? Because that doesn't seem to be anything that registers in your mind whatsoever at all. But with that, that is going to have to be with the video. If you guys would love to be absolutely amazing, show your support, and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye!